I'm Trina, an Indigenous filmmaker, storyteller, and intuition teacher. I was born and raised in the Treaty 8 territory in Northern Canada in a blended race family. And after many years on my own healing journey, my goal is to inspire you to take a deep look inside of yourself to create a life of love and peace.
And I'm Kaylin. I'm empathic. I have an academic background in supporting neurodiversity in education, and I have a host of super meticulous word nerd skills. My goal here is to use curiosity and empathy to facilitate conscious conversations that inspire you to explore and to ultimately find peace in a deeper sense of self.
Bert Goulet owned and operated the first digital recording studio in Victoria, BC, where he recorded music from heavy metal to new age world music and produced music for radio and television before moving to the Peace Country. His studio, Solar Peace Productions near Pouce-Coupe, was one of the first solar-powered studios in Canada. Bert's involvement as a senior producer for Shaw TV and working with Peace FM gave him the opportunity to engage with the Dawson Creek community, which led him to be awarded Citizen of the Year. Bert produces video and audio for regional artists, as well as creating soundtracks for film and video. Welcome, Bert. Rolling.
Yeah, good day. My name is Bert Goulet. I'm working in a studio in Dawson Creek, BC called Solar Peace Productions. And with me I have Bruce Craig, guitar extraordinaire. And we're working on a soundtrack for a video that we're producing. And I'm looking forward to hearing what Bruce comes up with today. And so far it's sounding quite nice.
Like we've made this stuff. Yeah. All right. So here we are. We're rolling. All right. So today on People for Peace, we have episode number 7. Today we're featuring Bert Goulet. Hello. And Bert is a musician in our community. He is somebody who has provided services, audio services, and probably a number of other things, video, film, all kinds of projects to a bunch of members of our community over the years. And we are thankful to have a Bert Goulet in our community. So all of our projects can get off the table and launch.
Right on.
So today I've invited Bert here. Bert is a musician among many, many things, a creative master. And I felt called to include Bert in this People for Peace mission because he does something really special and unique. He dabbles and plays in music and frequency and art, and he is a really wonderful friend and human being. So to have someone with such a gentle personality, kind, considerate, you wouldn't even know half the projects he's participated on because he's so humble about it. So I want to say thank you for coming in today, kind of blindly taking a step towards this podcast today, not really knowing what we're up to. I appreciate you doing that. So thanks for showing up.
Hey, looking forward to it.
Great.
Yeah.
So today, Bert, I'd like to just bust in, and I felt like Bert's coming. I want to put the tunes on. I want to crank it up. I got a rock hat on. I just feel like busting.
Love and peace.
Ooh. Yeah, I just felt like
People for peace.
That's right. And it's so funny because we had not planned this, believe it or not. It was totally unplanned, but it's hilarious.
The picture.
Yeah, exactly. So I just want to dive in deep. And you can tell us, about your musical journey and all of your creative arts and things like that. But I want to dive in first with the biggest question.
Uh-oh.
What does peace mean to you?
Ooh, what does peace mean to me? Like you were talking about earlier, we were talking about earlier, finding the inner peace in yourself so it can extend out into the external and share that peace and hopefully always look at truth is in everybody, the light is in everybody, God's in everybody, wherever you want to call it, right?
Yes.
So peace is in everybody too, and to shine that mirror of peace and reflect it out there, fantastic. And right now we really need peace in this world,
Yeah.
and so very important times for that. So yeah, that answer the question.
It sure does, because I'm thinking, I'm glad that you can see that. Now, is that something that's kind of come to you over the ages of wisdom, knowing that people have this piece? Like I know in our younger years, for me in particular, a little more of a judgmental hothead, but like there was characteristics I maybe not so proud of back in my younger days. But as we get older, or we're aging, how did you come up with these philosophies that there's peace and light in everyone? But where did that
It sort of extends into why I probably got into music too, so maybe it'll answer some questions
Sure.
that it might come up. I was born a blue baby, so I was sort of one foot in this world and one in the other. So I was lived in a little tent, sick when I was a little younger, quite young, and I had a hole in my lung the size of a quarter and stuff like that, right? So I always felt not quite a part of this world, and so I felt going into school and stuff, I just felt that something wasn't right. I just didn't belong. And going through the 60s, being a young person, the Beatles, the Vietnam War, I needed to find peace, and I became a part of that peace and love movement at a very young age. I was in Vancouver going to a school there, and I was like 13, and I'd be involved in the Peace March and the Newt marches and stuff like that.
Oh, awesome.
And so I followed it really young. Just I guess the Beatles really, that sort of whole movement sort of really reflected that onto me, and yeah, so and that's where I got into music too. Is how do you share that? How do you share love and the peace and trying to get it to people? And of course, music back then was so popular, and still is, but it's sort of gaming's more the thing now.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
And so I felt that that'd be a good way to extend that out there. So I just got into music, and it sort of worked for me. It really helped me through life. Because, like I said, I never really felt part of this. I mean, I never really could fit in. Like I did the whole job structure and all that sort of things. Music was where it was at for me. So.
And that's pretty amazing, because music is vibration. So it moves us even unconsciously. And I can talk a little bit about this because I am just completing my biosonic sound training with frequencies.
Oh, really?
And tuning forks.
Cool.
So I've been, yeah, that's a whole other show. But I somehow landed in this class with doctors and musicians, and it's a really scientific course about how frequency moves us, right? And so now, as you're speaking about music, and I can kind of flash back to what I felt like maybe my aunts and uncles were doing maybe back in the 60s, that whole era of music. Like I remember one of my aunts saying, we never missed a dance. There was a dance every weekend. Like people were dancing and grooving and moving, and the go-go boots and all the things, right? Like whatever era it was.
Yeah.
But they moved their bodies, right? They moved, and the thing about that's different now with the gaming, you're sitting in a still position, just moving your fingers, right? And you're talking about that's kind of where it's at now. But we're in an alternate reality gaming. We're in often, right? It's a different reality. But the thing about music is, I think, to remind people that our bodies are in constant movement every moment. Even if we're sitting still, something is vibrating, something is moving. And movement induces emotions, creativity, it induces all kinds of things, right? So this music journey that you went on, and it would be so cool. I have a friend that's really same era, same journey as you, the Beatles, all that. That was her total gig. She loved it.
Yeah.
but it's something we don't know about now. Like the younger people have no clue what that felt like, what that looked like, how that music impacted you guys, how it inspired you, how it moved you. Because there was a lot of really important movements that happened because of music and with music.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. Yeah.
And now we're kind of in a bit of a lack of movements. And this particular podcast was inspired by a John Lennon dream that I had. You could see the film People for Peace on YouTube. And it is inspired by music and vibration in that generation. So it's awesome that you brought that up, because here we are, and I feel like we're being invited or reminded to ask people like yourself, teachers and coaches, like, what was that like? How can we bring that back? How can we get people off the game and onto the dance floor? How can we reunite that? How do you see that happening? Is it possible? Can we bring that back?
Ooh.
It's so original.
Well, I mean, it is happening out there. There's pockets of people that are doing it. There's, within that Spotify world, there's actually some really great new music out there that are, referring and expanding the consciousness of all that sort of thing, and love, and in different ways, and the vibration thing, like you say, it's been going on, and I know people like yourself that are getting into it, and you're still very youthful, and I know lots of young people that are getting into it in certain ways, and like the music of the spheres, if you look at it, everything is harmonics, everything's vibrating, and that's how things actually probably maybe are born, from vibration and spinning and echoing, and like the world's frequency, what is it, 7.8?
So don't test me, because I don't know the answer.
Schumann's resonance, something like that.
Yes, the Schumann's resonance.
Yeah. And so look at the planet of the spheres. Every planet has their
frequencies.
Yeah. So, and then we all have inner colors and stuff like that. And so if you can, like we did, I think one time on a project way back when with you, I sort of wrote a piece of music, and you're following your key, what you were in, and sort of try to write something that worked with you. So for a meditation that you're working on, and stuff like that. So people are searching, and especially now it gets getting confusing though. People are feeling confused, and especially the politics and stuff. Yeah, it's a really tough time for people really to find peace, and you just got to shut off the tube and put the gaming down, and like you say, get out there by the fire and bring your friend over who plays guitar and just have some fun and socialize,
Well, I was talking to a new mom, Tia, just in the last episode, and it was interesting because she's a young mom, approximately 30, 3 little kids, and talking about how parenting is, and I'm guilty of this myself. So she's running a new era of kids, and she's doing it a really natural way, kind of bringing back some of the really old things that our grandparents did, which is so exciting to see. Yeah, they are doing so many beautiful, natural, brilliant things. It seems to be kind of trending almost in parenting now. It's so great. But for me and my generation, we didn't have that. We raised our kids in the era of, oh, the cell phones are out. The new cell phone's out. Like that's what we had to raise our kids in. One of my children was raised in it and one wasn't, because my kids are 10 years apart. But my second child, that's all they knew. That's the only way they know. They didn't play outside. Like they did a little bit, but nothing like we did growing up, right?
Yeah.
And so when our kids were growing up, they had different realities, but they didn't have the same reality. Like we had that. I was in the era of kids are seen and not heard. Go play outside for 14 hours. Somebody's mom will give you a sandwich somewhere.
Yeah.
And that was my era. And we played. We were outside. All of that.
No parents watching. You just did it, and they trusted that you'd be okay.
And they never even asked if we weren't. But here we are. We're still alive, right? So it's true. And now, though, with the creative minds, and like you said, people are curious, people are inquiring, people are asking. That's awesome, because I think I was one of those people, and I think doors just opened for me once I started asking bigger questions of like, what is this all about? What's happening? I now don't believe in things I used to believe in. I'm letting myself change my perspective on things. But again, that's all frequency and vibration, right? So when in terms of music, in terms of how that's affected your life, how has that gotten you out of difficult things?
Music?
Yeah, what is the actual process of getting you out of it?
Getting me out of difficult things.
Yeah, what's your personal
Uh,
peace practice?
yeah. Hmm. Um, well, one that comes off the top of my head is I have a few friends, and we try to get together a couple times a month, and we just go to the studio and we just sit down and improvise. We don't know what key we're playing in. We don't know what note's going to happen. We don't know what sound's coming up, what the next person's going to do. Just let it all flow. And usually, sometime in that 2 or 3 hour period when we're jamming, there's at least 5 minutes of pure bliss where everybody's just locked in. There is, we're all one. We're all one consciousness, and it's just coming across really beautiful. I record each one, so I've got hours and hours and hours
Wow.
of music that we've done. I've been going through it last year or so, I guess like 6, 7 years and stuff, right?
Wow.
And so, yeah, so that's one way. And you're sharing with other people, which is beautiful too. Like it's a communion of different spirits, and but coming together as one, and all that vibration you're talking about in the studio, just everything's resonating, and so that's a real
And
good.
harmonizing, and
Oh
this
yeah,
guy's personality and spirit and that guy's, they just click.
yeah, and then the music on top of that, the notes are playing and I'm playing, and we just come together. Everything, the beat comes together. They've got a drummer, and yeah, so it's quite magical. It's really beautiful. And then of course there's my just when I like to sit back and write. Usually, sometimes you have a song that just sort of comes through you, and you're like just the the medium, and it just comes out. And you say, "How the heck did that come out? What that was not me." So you're really in tune with the universe or whatever. So that's really exciting. And of course, there's the old just sitting by a fire out at night in the calm and in the silence, and just looking at the stars and just finding peace that way. Um,
What does it do to your physical body when you're in the zone or under the stars? Like, what is the sensation of the physical body that makes it seem peaceful?
um, yeah, just I guess total relaxation. And of course, when say in the studio with the guys, uh, after a piece of music is done, it's excitement. It's like, whoa, we're just like, wow, man, wow, it was great. Yeah, so that's total excitement.
So like elevation and
Oh
energy and
yeah,
emotions
oh
and
yeah, you're
all.
floating. Yeah.
That's wonderful. That's
Mm-hmm.
really good.
Mm-hmm.
What projects have you worked on? Like you talk about jamming with the buddies in the studio, but what projects have you worked on that have impacted you the most,
Um,
personally speaking?
probably, I don't know, it was a good way, but it was exciting for me back in the days of Victoria. Um, I was
So you
doing,
lived there? You lived in Victoria?
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, for 13 years around there. Yeah, I had a couple studios there, and we had a record label called The Theory Works, and then we had a tape duplication little company that bands would come in, record, and they'd print out 1,000
Oh,
cassettes for you.
serious business.
Yeah,
Wow,
right.
big time.
Yeah.
Nice.
And but I got into let's start talking about that part of my life maybe. I got into recording lots of artists from heavy metal to new age, and did a lot of stuff that we worked on. That's where I started got into it with the sound and color and harmony. And so for some reason, a lot of I'll call them new age teachers would call me and say, "Yeah, we'd like you to work on this project. We're doing a cassette tape of meditations and stuff." And so I'd do the music and just be a part of that. And then I started getting into doing more soundtrack stuff, and ended up doing a aerobic television series for about 3 years called Body Moves in Victoria.
Oh, that sounds familiar. Was it on TV?
Oh yeah. I was all over the place, all over
Yeah, I
Canada.
remember Body.
So I
Was
wrote all
it two
the
people, a man and a woman?
yeah, and mostly the woman though.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah, but anyway, I did 3 years of that, and after that period, you're writing the slow down, cool down balls, you're writing the beat music, and just and just after that, for writing music, I had to quit for about a year and a half, as I just sort of so caught up in just doing that type of music, you know, very not disco-y, but sort of dance music, whatever.
Sure.
Just like I couldn't do it anymore. So enough. So that was a hard time.
So you had to take a bit of a break.
Yeah.
Did that feel like it was a transition from like what work is to versus creativity? Or was it just the beats that were kind of
it was just music in general. I just burnt myself out on that. And every time I sit down to write something, it'd be for some reason I drift back doing that. And if you go back to my old original stuff, it was sort of, I guess that part of that period was electronic music too, back in the 80s with Depeche Mode and orchestra movers in the dark and that sort of stuff. It was all drum machines and stuff. So, but then I guess the other time for that really, as far as music goes, moved me was coming up north here and working with Don Pettit, and great photographer, great writer, and he was producing a book called The Piece.
Yeah, that's right.
And he got me involved in also doing a DVD, and he got me involved in doing the music and helping him put the DVD together. And we toured around the Peace area promoting the book and show his film, and just so many people were just inspired by it, and it just was very moving. And we put our heart and soul into it to make it moving. We really that was the goal, and so we did about 3 DVDs like that over a 10-year period or whatever. And that was really moving part for me.
I remember the launch of that. I remember the people of the it was the people of the Peace.
Yeah.
The Peace book, but Don Pettit, you can find him in our movie, People for Peace. He's featured there. Please go check him out. He's a brilliant man, a producer, an artist, a writer, a photographer. There's nothing that man cannot do. Exactly, he is actually one of my greatest mentors. So I owe him pretty much my career and all of those things. He's a brilliant man. Please check him out.
Very special.
He is. We're lucky we get to share them, kind of.
Yeah, he's in the jamming group every couple of weeks. We get together and he plays bass. So
one up, you've got more than yeah.
But that was a really beautiful experience, and it sort of fulfilled a dream of mine when I was a little boy. When I would be sick, my parents bought me. Oh, I gotta tell you this story. So my parents used to have boarders, usually teachers, right? So there's one boarder. He came and had a reel-to-reel when I was like maybe 6, 7 years old, and didn't know what a reel-to-reel was. And he said, "Bert, look at this." And he hits record and lights a match, and sulfur match, like shh. So, okay. Then he slows the pitch down and plays it back, and like a big explosion. I said, I gotta get one of those. So I think Christmas or whatever, my parents bought me this little baby one, 2 little reels like that. And when I'd be sick, I'd be chopping up and playing with sounds and reversing the tape and making it go backwards and just being crazy about it. And so one of my dreams was to always do sound effects for cartoons. That sort of got me into doing sound and stuff like that. And yeah, so it was really a trip coming up here and meeting Dawn and doing soundtracks and sound effects. I record nature sounds and put them in with the videos and when needed.
So how long have you been in Dawson Creek?
96.
Don't ask me to math that. Around 30 years, right?
Getting close,
So that's the thing. I was going to ask you if you felt like, did music choose you or did you choose music?
Kristen, you asked me that, yeah. Probably a meeting of minds, but I like to think it sort of chose me. But really, it was a necessity for me to, probably for my sanity living in this world. And like I said earlier, I never quite felt I fit in. I wasn't the guy talking about the cars at the beer parlor and that and the girls. And that I was just very, I guess, introverted or analyzing, looking at the world. Just why are there wars? Why are people that way? And I got into reading lots of different spiritual teachings in my teens, early teens, and stuff like that. And just trying to figure it all out. And music, I just go home and sit back and write and express what I was feeling. And it just was a healing thing for me, very healing, yeah.
I think that's pretty cool. Alan Watts, Ram Dass, all of these different teachers and spiritual kind of guides over the years have influenced a lot of people. But when I heard you say a couple things there, I heard you say that you needed to take a break from music, right? You had to have that stint where you're like, I'm done, I need a break. But then there you went back into it. Do you feel like music and creating, you said, did I ask you if it chose you or did you chose it? But sometimes those things are our natural gifts and they can't leave us. Like I was a photographer for 30 years. I needed a break. I took a like 8-year break. I had to put that camera down.
Yeah.
But then lo and behold,
Well, you
this,
built up quite a business too. I mean, you had a downtown office,
it
and
was,
so it was a lot of just not taking pictures.
it was
A
huge.
lot of work.
Yeah, it was at a full team of 7. It was, but then something struck me and it was what I would call like my spiritual awakening or whatever. Like I had this change just come over me where I had to just do something different. I had to put that camera down. I was like, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm done.
Yeah.
But then lo and behold, now I'm picking up cameras again.
The video girl.
Video cameras, filmmaking, podcasting. And so I feel like sometimes these things, whether it be music or cameras, I feel like we're kind of assigned to our gifts. Like everybody gets a gift before they come down. Oh, this guy, he's going to do music. That girl, she's going to do cameras.
Right.
Like this is just my own little belief.
Yeah.
And then each person comes down here with at least one magnificent gift, right? But a lot of people don't necessarily explore it or believe that they're good, or it's just so easy to them that they don't realize how good they are at it.
Isn't that interesting?
Right? Like this is kind of my observation. We talk about studying people and seeing what's going on. Some of them step right into it. And I really admire those people. That's why we're talking about Don Pettit. He steps in and he goes. And that's why I think I was so drawn to him as a teacher, because there's all these obstacles trying to find success and do good, be good, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's going through the obstacles that is what we need to learn how to do, trusting ourselves, trusting our gifts, finding those mentors, which is why I preach mentors, because I think I seriously have had the best.
Oh, cool.
And I would have never been able to get this far had I not had these leaders saying, do that differently, try harder, you're better than that, do that, don't quit, all these when things get hard. So our whole goal is to try to help and share things that'll help people find and return to those inner states of peace, right? So we're talking about music and vibration. And if you're at all curious about music or vibration or sound, go explore some online classes, go find some local teachers in your community, go and explore the things that excite you, no matter what it is, whether it's music or cameras or whatever. But how can we, offer to the viewers and the people watching, what's one thing you think we could do that we could offer to start provoking and invoking a sense of community and acceptance and peace, not just among other people, but with ourselves too? Like, how can we all get along a little better is basically what I'm feeling. How can we accept what is just a little bit easier?
Possibly like you were doing with the Be Real thing. Maybe make it more, I won't say that wasn't open to the public, but make it more of a public event where you can have community, family gatherings, either outside on a hilltop with a fire, or I don't know, or in a hall, and just celebrating something.
I like that idea. I can kind of see something formulating in my imagination as you're saying that. So for those of you that don't know, Be Real was a gathering where we took people that literally knew nothing about meditation. It started off as a meditation awareness, right? We had teachers come from around the world to teach about meditation and self-awareness. So I believe that we cannot have inner peace, self-peace until we kind of know ourselves, until we explore ourselves, start looking at our light that
How
you
can
say
you
everybody
love
has.
without loving yourself?
But most people, I shouldn't say most, some people don't really know who they are or haven't spent a ton of time acknowledging.
Yeah, caught up in the work and the family, and that happened to me. I got very caught up, and I had to put things on a little back burner, and get the family and food and the house and all that. It was a lot of work, but sorry to interrupt.
No, it's true though. As a man, as a provider, it's lock and load, work, provide, work, provide, work, provide.
Get lost in it, right?
Yeah, if you want to have 10 minutes of music or beats, then that might be all you get, right? But this was a place that I felt inspired to create, to sort of help people start learning more about themselves, help people start understanding what's truly on the inside. Because I don't know about the male population per se, but females, we're always changing. We're always evolving. Like my husband always says, "Oh, what version are you today? Are you the filmmaker? Are you the meditation teacher? Are you the sound person? Are you this? Are you that? You know, are you the filmmaker?
Are you my wife?
Yeah, like which one?" And I'm like, "Oh no, that was a decade ago, that version. I'm on to the next version." Right. But he laughs and he jokes, saying that's what keeps our marriage alive and well, because he never knows what to expect, right? Because we evolve.
Yeah.
Like we're evolving. So
Yeah.
I know that
Interesting.
for my friends and stuff, it's a conversation that we have. We're not who we were 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years, because we're always evolving, we're unraveling, we're exploring new parts and aspects of ourselves. Sometimes we'll gain more confidence, you know, as we get older.
Yeah.
And then we'll have the confidence to try things we wish we would have tried in our 20s.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that sort of thing happens. But I think that when we created this Be Real group and we gathered the people over that was a decade long. People discovered more about themselves. They tried things they wouldn't necessarily try, and learning that meditation is just simply breathing quietly, sitting with self, hearing higher consciousness, perhaps,
Yeah.
you know, maybe getting inspired by colors or messages or whatever. And all that seemed really strange and weird at the time when we did it. Nobody was really into it. Now I feel like a lot of people are exploring it, trying it, they love it, and it's becoming kind of a mainstream topic.
That's interesting. Just going back what you're talking about with having your Be Real conferences or gatherings or whatever, you've affected those people, and like dominoes, they go out and affect other people, and it just keeps rolling out there for eternity. Like it's just so that's a big thing. It's a huge thing you're pulling off there. So
my point is so your statement was you had suggested that we create gatherings, people coming together, gathering, sort of rekindling those old school vibes of barbecues and potlucks and connecting. And I think that's an absolutely genius idea. It's just a matter of who, when, and where. And I did kind of sort of see that in my mind. So maybe that's something, maybe you can help me create it.
There you
right?
go.
You can bring the tunes and
there
I'll make the phone calls. But we do need to actively take active steps to create more peace. And some people get overwhelmed thinking, well, I'm just Joe, I'm just Jane, what am I gonna do about it? And I always get a little twitchy when I hear comments like that, because I'm like, it's John and Jane that are the ones that make the difference, right? Whether it's the Dawn and the Bert, 10 years of committing to the peace projects, right? Through books and films and whatever, that has shaped and left a signature among our community. And we happen to live in the Peace region with the Peace River, Peace Books, your company, right? All these signatures of peace are literally everywhere around this territory. So here we are kind of being called. You were literally called, hey Bert, you want to come over? Yeah. You don't even know what you're coming. But the point of it is we're responding energetically to things that we're being invited to be a part of, right? And so how do you think intuition plays a role in your life? What is intuition to you?
Intuition. Yeah. It's earlier on in my youth and teens and stuff like that, I really lived by it. I really, and then like I said earlier, I sort of had to make a living. I had to fit in. I had different job things I was doing besides music. Music wasn't always the breadwinner. And so I got into all sorts of different things, from working with TV and radio and newspapers. And it was really, so a lot of time went into that, and I just went with it. And sort of a lot of that stuff got sort of dusted over. And, and in the last, 10 or so years, I've been sort of clearing that off and getting back more, listening to my little voice and intuition and stuff like that, and trying to follow it. Sometimes it's led me down the wrong path.
Or maybe you didn't listen properly.
Yeah, exactly. So gotta be careful there. But
so you kind of connect to intuition as listening to the voice. Is that how it works for you?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
There's so many different variations of intuition.
What's yours?
I have the listening voice too, but my strong one is my gut instinct.
Isn't that like a little voice though? The same sort of thing?
No, it's like, ooh.
Like you actually feel something in your gut?
Like, don't do that.
Well, you heard her voice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's the same sort of thing.
It
I
is.
think.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they definitely work together. Definitely.
Yeah.
And it's hard because as an intuitive person, I live my life highly intuitively. But yeah, it could be a voice, could be a feeling, could be a knowing, could be,
Yeah,
whatever.
it's like consciousness sort of talking to you, your unconsciousness or whatever, I'll call it the truth inside you, like I said earlier, the light inside you. And if you keep shining it and bringing good things into yourself and different other truths, it'll come clearer and clearer, and usually those manifest itself as really good ideas to do what your inner voice is saying. Right?
Sometimes logically they don't make sense,
Mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm.
So logically they don't make sense. So sometimes,
Yeah.
The logic or the ego can sometimes buck us off our horse when we're heading in that direction. We're like, oh no, that doesn't make any sense, or that's not going to work out for all these logical reasons, right? So sometimes we have to wrestle with that in society. But I like how you said that when you were like 20 or when you were a young guy, you were so in tune, and then maybe not fizzled out, but maybe sort of as you matured and raised your family and did all your things, right? But now at this point, what I feel like is there's so many intuitive young people out there, and it's really awesome to see. What advice would you give your 20-year-old intuitive self now that you're at the retirement stage?
Oh, wow. Don't let love break your heart. Don't let love break your take yeah, it's a tough one. What would I tell myself? Yeah, just actually just to listen to that voice and try and follow it and don't get caught up in a Disney-esque adventure, where it's false, where it's sort of phony, keep it as real as you can. That's what I would, like, yeah, because it's so easy to get caught up like in the ego or the ego of the world, the ego of Hollywood, want to be like that actor. I gotta do this, I gotta do that, and blah 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 blah, and love is this way, and that is that way, and that's the way it's supposed to be. But really, it's not the Hollywood version.
So is that, what does ego mean to you then? Is that what ego means to you?
Ego, what does ego mean to me? It's probably like that, the mask, possibly the mask people wear. But then again, it's like that voice, the voice once again between consciousness and unconsciousness, maybe.
So consciousness meaning aware, in tune, allowing, receiving, flowing. What other words would you throw into consciousness? Because people don't
that's
know.
pretty well. Yeah, consciousness. Yeah, that's
Unconscious then would be the opposite, unaware.
You're doing stuff because you're just doing it because you're programmed that way from many years of magazines and television commercials and television movies and blah 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 blah. Just what your lifestyle you grew up with. It's just
Programming. That's just it. All of this is programming, and we participate in some programming with when we have a vision and we put it out. We're also emitting programming, messaging, and things like that, right? But hopefully in a positive way that people can choose whether they want to download that program or not. They want to be a part of this program or not. But sometimes the unconscious programming is like, this is the way it is. This is the way it is. Fear, fear, fear. This is the way it is. This is the way it is.
Exactly. What's going on right now is just it's so sad to see so many things divided, and I'm really looking forward to the day where people just can let go of the egos and the tribal things, and we need to be this way and you guys are that way, and we gotta get back to that,
And that goes to a lot of that like consciousness we're talking about. So for me personally, one of the things that I'm doing is going, okay, was my position on this topic. I firmly believe that. And I'd have moments of like, yeah, right? And then I'd catch myself going, but is that true? And that's not the words I would necessarily use, but I would say like, is that actually real? Is more like how I would say it to myself. Is that real? Is that even part of my reality? Do I need to even participate in that topic or belief? What if I just didn't participate? Not because I'm ignoring it, because I'm not bringing it into my paradigm. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And so with this whole podcast and filming People for Peace, I had to ask myself that a lot because there's war on the table all the way around us for the last handful of years. But we are being asked to build something better, new messages. We're being guided in a way. I feel very guided to create this thing called People for Peace. So we have the absolute capabilities of changing and doing different messaging, consciously not tapping into the doom and gloom.
Right. Yeah.
Consciously creating a different reality. But that takes awareness. It takes a relationship with self. It takes an understanding of self, maybe some coaches and some mentors and some willingness to look at your own ego. And so ego, I've asked pretty much every episode. I've asked every person, what is the ego? And everybody gives a little bit of a different variation, but all kind of coming around the same topics, right? It is a part of us, and I believe we are assigned to the ego for the human experience. So one of the things that comes across in my reality is, being an intuitive person, is like I kind of get this vision of there's all these, souls hanging in heaven, we'll just call it that, on little hangers. And then there's all these bodies, and then there's like a factory, and they'll go, okay, let's put this soul in Bert's body. Bert's going down. Bert lands down. Oh, we're going to assign him to some lessons. He's going to be a sick kid, but he's going to be a brilliant musician. We're going to give him a couple of those things. He's going to go down there and experience, right? And then I always kind of get the message that life is simply the school of love. We're only here to learn how to love. Like you had made the comment, don't let love break your heart. Love hurts sometimes, it does, right? And sometimes it's really, really, really hard. But the point is that's what we're here to do. So even if we, lose a loved one, or somebody passes on, say, we can still have a loving relationship. Even the dynamics are changed, but that's where we're at. That's the lesson we're here to learn, right?
Yeah, I just like I was talking there, I never quite I felt one step in this world and one in an alternate universe, but I just never felt I fit. And just saying that, it's what you're saying, is that knowing that and understanding that I'm assuming that a lot of people feel that way, and once you grasp that and learn that, you realize that you're just here to learn, like, the love and lessons of existence, and really the goal is to transcend all the physical realities and rise above that and look at the gifts that are there and just love each other and create peace.
That's right. And loving and accepting each other. Like, well, that's how Bert rolls. That's his belief. I'm a little bit different, but the dude's awesome. I'm going to go jam with him later, even though I don't know how to play any instruments. But, right? So I think this is the lesson humanity is in. How can we love the neighbor if they tick us off? How can we get past some of these things? And we're really working on our own egos, and our egos can be that resistance. It can be the pompous parts. It can be the protector. It can be the resistor. It can be the false masks, right? It can be all kinds of things, but
insecurities too, that some people that are really insecure, they really got to push their ego there to make them be heard. And just they're hurting inside, right? And so sorry, Karen.
No, we never have to apologize, but that's pretty much how it goes, right? So there's all these different teachings of ego that I believe we're all in. Like we're like, what version of the lesson is Bert gonna get? Trina's version might be slightly different, right? And then so we all have to learn ego. We all have to learn love. We all have to learn forgiveness. This is what I kind of get in my takeaways. So if that's the case, if Bert's being jealous, don't get mad at him, because he's just in his jealous lesson. I already did mine. That was 2 years ago. I was right. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're like, oh, he's in that version. And so if they're just chapters of training for love, everybody's going to experience them at different times, right? And but I believe we have to have teachers and mentors and guides of people a couple steps ahead of us to sort of help us. Otherwise, sometimes it's like you're drowning and you're struggling because you just don't know where to start. You don't know where to go. You don't know what to do.
That's why people got into prophets, from Jesus to Buddha to new prophets to great teachers out there. There's lots of them, lots of Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think for me today, one of my biggest goals was to have you come in as the musician, as the guide, as the creator, to kind of inspire us. How can we tap into our own hidden gifts? How can we find these things? I'm sure because you said it yourself. You said when I came in and you were tapping into my energy to create that meditation music, that's what your process was. You had to kind of tap into me,
Hmm.
right? How can people that are new on the journey or just kind of peeking around, what can they do to start tapping in to their own gifts?
Yeah. Well, I guess through meditation and I mean, a lot of people, I'm not sure, but like, and a lot of people have gifts, like just being has a great gift of being a beautiful mother,
Yes, yes,
or a beautiful carpenter, incredible
yes,
carpenter. What a
yes,
gift, right?
yes.
And so some people just take their gifts and not even wear. Wow, I got one. Like some people just like blow me away with. They're great at.
I know my husband, so I'm going to just talk about him my husband for a second. So that guy is an amazing carpenter and he does it effortlessly and all of that. But he also has this love for music. And so when he's working on projects, he's got the tunes on, they're cranked, he's rocking and blasting and singing away, and he'll love it that I confess this to everybody. But I always get the feeling like he'd be really good at guitar because I can see the music moves him, right? It
Hmm.
just moves his
Hmm.
body.
Hmm.
He loves his work because now he's kind of in beats and tunes with his stuff. But I encourage him, try guitar. Why don't you take that a step further? But he's like, nope, 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 nope. And he just has a block there, doesn't
Yeah,
want to explore that.
yeah. I think everybody. I mean, like we're talking about harmony and vibration. Everybody's got music in them. We're part of the music of the spheres, of the universe, right? So I mean, I think everybody can play anything, maybe not super good like somebody else, but doesn't stop you from playing. You can hit a hammer and nail, and you can be a
I
carpenter
can
and
build,
build,
not that good, but yes.
whatever.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's just a matter of letting go of, oh, I'll never be good enough, or look silly or whatever. And if you can, maybe the two of you should do something. He gets a bass and you get a harmonica or something, and just
Right.
jam together and see
Just
what happens.
experiment. I'm gonna suggest that and see what happens. So in
Because you
that,
love music too,
yes,
obviously. Yeah, of
yes.
course.
Do
Yeah.
you think
Yeah.
that every person can sing? You said music's inside everyone. Can everybody sing?
Oh, of course, everybody can sing. We're singing when we were babies.
Cooing along and
you know, um, but like I say, it's some people are just born with a super talent. But I mean, we've got the Neil Youngs and the Bob Dylans, and they're pulling it off.
so music is in the body, the vibration, the sound, the voice.
Mhm.
The voice is a gift. It's a gift
Mhm.
for talking, for communicating, for singing, even humming,
Chanting,
chanting.
I mean, that's sort of it's a vocal way of singing.
And a lot of people have a hard time expressing themselves
Hmm.
through the throat, and just
Hmm.
lock that down. But if everybody can sing, but it's that's the other thing is not really like realizing that we think I can't sing. That's the
Hmm.
ego stopping us right there. But
Hmm.
also realizing if we have a body and a mouth and a throat,
Hmm.
everybody can sing,
Hmm.
but we need to unlock our insecurities
Hmm.
and be willing to explore the voice because everybody has a voice signature too, like their own sound. Everybody's got an
Oh,
individual sound, right?
oh,
So letting that out and exploring that. And I'm saying this because in my last sound class, my tuning forks,
oh, okay, right. I forgot about that.
forks.
Cool.
Yeah, my last sound class with the tuning forks, we were really talking and we had the singer come in and teach us about humming and
Hmm.
getting the vibration going through the body because it is magical, the sounds, but also it's so releasing. It releases all kinds of trapped emotions in the
Oh,
body and it's a form of expression, right?
oh.
So my teacher that is sharing this with us is a musician, a doctor, a psychologist.
Hmm.
So all of these different things, and they're working with trying to bring sound back into everyday therapies. So
Hmm.
this is something I'll be doing with my clients, working with my clients to help reset
Hmm.
and sort of configure the harmony in the
Hmm.
mind, body, and spirit, because a lot of the ailments that we get in our physical
Mhm.
body
Mhm.
can be released
Mhm.
with vibration.
Yeah. Have you ever seen those videos or even live where they have a plate, metal plate, and they put sand on it and they
Yes.
put a frequency on it? They go from so many hertz up and creates these beautiful geometric patterns and
Yeah, the
stuff.
mandalas and stuff.
Yeah, isn't that
Hmm.
incredible? So that's going on in your cellular structure and yeah, all that stuff. But
No,
it's another show, like you said, right?
but it's true. You're
Yeah,
absolutely right.
yeah.
And I think if humanity starts kind of being open to the idea
Mm-hmm.
that this is all happening in real time, we're in vibrational motion all the time, and we're attracting the same frequencies or similar frequencies we're on, right?
Oh
Law of
yeah.
attraction. And if we started being a little more mindful of the vibration we're putting out, negative, positive, whatever in
Right.
between,
Right.
seeing what we're putting out is what
Yeah.
we're coming back and getting into the motion
Mm-hmm.
and frequencies, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
these songs that you're making or tunes that you're channeling in
Mm-hmm.
and delivering back out, we are in harmony and co-creation with the universe, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was telling you earlier that the films I'm making are coming to me just effortlessly. I just close
Mm-hmm.
my eyes and there they are,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if we're given these messages and songs and vibrations that we're supposed to create in the
Mm-hmm.
human form and then serve them out to humanity,
Mm-hmm.
isn't that a brilliant way to live life? We're just here as co-creators
Oh, yeah.
trying
Yeah.
to create something called love.
Mm-hmm.
And my opinion, this is just how I say it, it's just my opinion, but I'm like, for me, love, if I focus on love, it then turns to peace
Mm-hmm.
in my experience. But how do you feel that sits for you? Love and peace.
Peace, love, and rock and roll.
Oh, I like the rock and roll part. Now, yeah, now you're talking.
No, that makes total sense. Yeah. I mean, like the vibration thing. I mean, if you think about it, I just thought about it now. Church bells. I never thought about that actually probably was when they were first put on churches and the bell. Wong, wong. It's a way of that creating that frequency, sending it out into the people of the community. It's that time they just come there and do their meditation prayer or whatever. Same with the Buddhist little bell, ding ding, and the bowls and all that stuff. So it's always been a part of humanity and the all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Those Eskimos and the blues of the three voices in the one voice. You ever heard that? Oh,
No.
it's like three voices coming from one vocal cord. It's like, wow,
Cool.
incredible. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the thing. And I think I want to wrap this up today by kind of
Sure.
just sort of, saying that if we all just take a minute to look at our own gifts, our own kind of assignments to humanity, our own contributions, our own talents, and the love that we can express, if we just focused on that just a smidge more at such a dense time of humanity,
Mm-hmm.
maybe we could collectively shift the consciousness just a little bit more in the right direction and create the future on purpose.
Yeah. Spend 10 minutes a day just meditating on something positive like that. You know,
Yeah.
find something that works for you and it'll just grow and grow and grow.
Yeah. And for the people that aren't meditators per se or haven't taken that hobby up, you
Just
can just go for a walk.
Yeah, that's I mean, just zen out. That to me, that's meditation.
Yeah.
Doing dishes, I zen out, and I'm at one with those dishes.
Like, Bert, come over at
There you
6:30 tonight.
go.
My
But I mean,
dishes.
yeah, meditation is a big word. It's yeah, just yeah, and
It's intimidating
yeah,
for some
but
people.
just forget about that word. Like say, go for a walk. That's a meditation. Just
That's right.
walk, let let things go, and think about something positive, and even reading something that really moves your soul, a poem or something like that, and just whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, take a minute to kind of decompress, get in touch with
Yeah.
the arts, the music, the creativity, and just be with yourself, right? If we
Mhm.
practice that a little bit more.
Mhm.
And it's my belief that everybody has something beautiful to offer this planet and this world and the people.
Oh,
If we
totally.
spent more time looking at that,
We are
then
one.
then all the densities, I think we're going to go farther. Is there any last words of wisdom you want to share with the community? And
No, I think just that find time for your soul, the inner mirror, inner truth, and share it with others. And cheers.
cheers, Bert.
Peace.
Yeah, thank you. As a creative man, Bert Goulet is here today, showing us and teaching us how we can all tune in a little bit more to peace, love, music, and evolution. Thank you so much, Bert.
Been a great time. Thank you very much, too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So wrapping up today's episode with Bert Goulet, who is a master of music, sound, frequency, vibration, who comes from the eras of, the Beatles and all the hippy dippy movements, the peace, the love. I find it really, really, really important for us to sort of ponder and get in touch with those guys and those gals from those earlier eras and generations to talk to us and remind us what does it take to be in alignment. They knew music, they knew frequency, they knew about connecting to higher consciousness. Lots of them were products of Woodstock, and there was all kinds of hippy dippy movements wired into that era and that time space. But the other thing that comes with it is wisdom and grace. When you've put those years in, lived those lives, lived those terms and ideologies and spaces, I feel like there is a lot to learn from the ones that have gone before us. And over time, it is my belief and sort of my awareness now that we are entering a cyclical time where we get to go back to some of those values that they've held before us and the gatherings. So Bert had mentioned it. He's like, start something, bring people together, get the groups coming together. So back in the old days when I was little, we would have big family barbecues and family and friends and extended family would come in, sit around a fire pit. Kids would be running around, cartwheels and dirt bikes or you know what I mean, like just stuff, kids being kids and adults being adults. Everybody was potlucking. There was so-and-so brought a salad, so-and-so brought some buns, and they just gathered. And my aunts were of a generation of disco and dancing, and they spent their weekends discoing, dancing, and all of those things. And we've somehow lost and forgotten all of that. We're so stuck in our phones, our faces in our phones, we're wrapped up in technology. But I believe that remembering how to reconnect with other humans on a connection level and sitting in these spaces, and Bert also said it really well. He said when he gets together with his band members, his buddies, when they're jamming in the studio, they come into this state of harmony where they're all just making up and tuning in and channeling in whatever's coming through them as artists together. And there's a phase and a stint of pure bliss and harmony where everybody's just aligning. Things are just happening. It's just coming in. And when they trust and they let go and they flow and they allow themselves to be seen and to be heard as individuals, but as individuals, then that collectively makes this group sound and this group consciousness essentially, and this group creation. So take time to sit with your elders, people that have come before you, find those mentors, ask those questions, and see how we can consciously build better communities. And I say better by, maybe that isn't the appropriate word, but maybe more engaged communities where we can sort of reposition how we're looking at things. Now, I know a lot of people I've talked to personally say, since I don't even want to say the word, but the last 5 years of all of the things that have happened in health and wellness, things have fallen apart. Families have broken up, friendships have broken up, people are repositioning themselves within relationships. And relationships are a huge, mighty topic. So while we're practicing peace on the outside, really getting to know ourselves on the inside and really figuring out, who am I now? Where am I now? What are my gifts and abilities? What am I contributing to the situation positively or negatively? How can I shift that? How can I step more into the alignment of peace and love through meditation, walking, music, fresh air, baking, and finding the things that help put your heart into a vibration and frequency of genuine love, genuine compassion, and the ability to genuinely see life as a whole in a higher frequency. I'd like to dedicate this particular conversation to John Lennon, the one who inspired people for peace in The Dream. I just want to say thank you so much, because I'm just kind of surrendering and trusting that this process of this show and this movement will take on a life of its own and do what it's supposed to do. The ones that went before us also still live on. So thank you very much. And if you want to find me, you can find me, Trina Gower, at trinagower.com. Thank you. Peace.